Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business News Afternoon Report for Friday, the 7th of May, 2024. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the local share market closed down almost 1% today to 7,814 points, ending a pretty topsy-turvy week. For the full week, the market was up almost 1%. Today, tech stocks, healthcare and property companies were sold off hardest, while the materials sector did best. WiseTech Global, CSL, Wesfarmers, QBE and REA Group were among the worst performers. Had plenty of friends, Commonwealth Bank, Macquarie, Woodside, they all fell sharply as well. The big miners were the best on the back of solid iron ore prices, reflecting hopes that the Chinese government will do more to help that country's struggling property sector. Story number 2, opposition leader Peter Dutton's budget response last night has focused on alleviating the housing crisis and slashing migration. Mr Dutton wants to reduce permanent migration by a quarter to about 140,000 a year, cut refugee arrivals by a third and ban foreign investors and temporary residents from buying established homes for 2 years. The goal, he says, is to free up 100,000 properties and restore the dream of home ownership. Reducing the excessive number of foreign students at metropolitan universities would alleviate pressures on the rental market. The reply was criticised by the government and several other sectors. The government pointed out that new immigration is important, and in fact, less than 5,000 homes are sold to foreigners annually. What the budget reply speech really shows is that the next election will be fought, in part, on the housing crisis. Story number 3, regional lender Bendigo Bank's share price jumped 8% today, even though profit was lower for the 10 months to the end of April. The good news is that credit expenses remain at low levels, and its net interest margin, the difference between what it earns on loans and pays on deposits, came in at 1.87%. That's actually higher than it was and higher than the big 4 banks who are being squeezed. Also today, the suspension of Star Entertainment's Queensland casino licences was lengthened until December this year, subject to the outcome of the Bell inquiry in New South Wales into the gaming group. Story number 4, if you were struggling to text someone this morning using Apple's messaging service iMessage, you weren't alone. The system suffered an outage, with users across Australia reporting they were unable to send messages. More than 500 Australian users reported issues with iMessage on outage website Down Detector. There were complaints across social media, not just from here, but from the US as well, according to a report in the Sydney Morning Herald. By 9 a.m, Apple's system status page was listing iMessage as available, but shortly afterwards it changed to resolved issue. According to the page, the issue occurred from 7:49 a.m. to 8:35 a.m. and resulted in some users being unable to use the service. No further details were given. Remember, earlier this week, some iPhone users complained that years-old photos they believed they had deleted were reappearing on their devices in a bug seemingly related to the new iOS 17.5 update. And story number 5, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian leader Vladimir Putin have pledged to intensify cooperation against US containment of their countries as they warned of growing nuclear tensions between rival powers. Putin and Xi accused the US of planning to station missile systems around the world that pose a direct threat to the security of Russia and China in a joint declaration after more than 2 hours of talks in Beijing. They agreed to tighten coordination, including between their militaries, against what they called Washington's destructive and hostile course. According to Bloomberg, the two leaders also warned of increasing strategic risks from spiralling tensions between nuclear powers. They accused the US of seeking to violate the strategic nuclear balance to gain a decisive military advantage. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 17th of May, 2024. Michael Thompson, Anna Lang and I will be back tomorrow morning with a weekend edition of Fear and Greed Business News. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.